You got to sit just like this.
I didn't fucking do anything. Are we okay now?
You're good. Go ahead.
Fuck, after 30 minutes, welcome to Uninfluenced. This motherfucking Zach.
It's a weird day.
Man. Guys, I'd like to welcome a guest. He was the guest when we first started the studio, or first started the podcast. Now he's the first guest in the new studio. It's Steve's POV.
I'm honored, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You got an applause or something in
clap.
the board?
I don't have applause now.
Steve and I are the only dipshits over here clapping.
I'm applauding for myself. That's
right.
how special I am.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I'm honored to be back in your studio. I told you, you said to me, Steve, when we get the new studio done, you were going to invite me here, and I seen you at the car show a couple weeks ago, and we talked about it. So, yeah, man, and I love it. I think this is so nice how you put this place together. I mean, love the ideas for the backdrop, the sofas, the lights, all this equipment. Man.
Matt, I lost you again. Hold on.
Was this the
Now
sofa
you're
that
back
you're...
on.
Well, coincidentally, that couch has been broken in.
It's got a nice texture, and it does have this nice center area here with this large crack portion in the center that I've decided
Well, we
to
got
straddle
that.
for the...
Got that for a reason, so she could lay back comfortably, and you're not sitting there rubbing your dick across.
You can tuck rubber sheets under the crack, and then that way it makes for an easy cleanup.
You're saying I thought it was more for my IBS that it's just a convenient way to take care of stuff during the shoot.
Either way.
I didn't have to go out.
Either one's fine.
Yeah, either one. By the way,
I
guys,
eat healthy though.
if the mic does cut out during this episode, our producer and editor sucks dick.
Yeah. Address all emails to @AppleZacintosh. That's me.
The fuck
Is
did
it
he
still
just
good,
say?
or is it on?
Yeah, it's on now. Here, let me tell you what. While they're talking, I'll get you a fresh one, and we'll swap it out mid-show. That's fine.
Okay.
Nobody will know, right? I'll walk over and do it. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable the way you're sitting with that thing? I'm more concerned about that.
I've only had a rod between my legs other than my own time.
You told me I could slide a bit during the show, right?
You can get as comfortable as you want.
I think I'm heading this way.
Yeah, if you want to come sit on my lap too.
There's a lot going on in your lap right now,
Dude,
bro.
it's
I don't know.
busy. I haven't had this much action since the last strip club I went to.
That's a lot of action.
Yeah. A lot of electricity happening in this area right
There's
now.
no 6-foot rule here, huh?
Well, what's great is our viewers are cock gazers anyway, so they're probably already looking in this area. Yeah.
Well, I think maybe meat gazer is better than cock gazer because you never know.
Yeah, you do. You can't say that nowadays.
It could be roast beef.
Yeah.
Or it could be
Could be Arby's.
Arby's roast beef
never know.
flapping in the wind.
Arby's.
like an M80 buried in an Arby's roast beef.
Could
sandwich.
be. Could be.
You never know.
Yeah. So for those of y'all that don't know, Steve is very fluent in Japanese, the Japanese culture, the JDM side of the automotive. Plus, he has a fantastic looking Ferrari. He's also got his own YouTube channel. So for those of you who are newer and didn't go back and view when we had Steve on the first time, go check it out. He's a transplant from California, but he's got some Texas views. I would say he's become a Texas boy pretty quick.
Yeah.
I have.
And for the kid, since he's not here, the kid is his son, and his favorite word, if you guys don't see him at a car show, tap him on the shoulder and just simply, hey. He loves that.
He does like that.
Yeah, he
likes
likes
you guys, man. He likes you guys a lot.
You said he was scared to come on.
Well, he likes you so much he's scared to come on. Can we leave it at that? That's how much he actually likes you. No, he likes you, man. Well, he's a little upset with you, though, I must say.
What'd I do this time?
Because you go through cars like people change underwear, right? Like daily. So that 720S, you told him he was going to be able to drive. He didn't get to drive.
He didn't come over.
Right, the Mercedes, I figured that thing ain't going to be around too long either, so he ain't going to get to drive that.
No.
So, I mean, he's just wondering when any of these big promises, man, are going down.
Ferrari GTB 292 just came out, or whatever it is.
296,
Isn't that what it is?
Can you get a ride in that?
If we 296.
296.
That's
If
a
I do get
6-cylinder,
one.
though, right?
Yeah, but man, watching the videos of that thing, 820 horsepower.
The thing that I think it's weird spec-wise, I'd be curious. I don't know if it says in the video or on the release what the weight is. With those batteries, it's got to be quite a bit heavier. It's probably closer to 4,000 pounds.
I don't think they've put out those specs yet, but they're saying it's smaller than the F8. It's more nimble than the F8, and it's the perfect car between the F8 and the SF90.
Yeah. I mean, I do like that it's rear-wheel drive, but again, I think there's probably an element of looking at the 0 to 124 and the 0 to 60 time, the 124 time is about on par with the Pista.
Yeah.
The 0 to 60 is a little bit slower. I guess that it's probably quite a bit heavier.
Yeah.
So it's 100 horsepower more, so it's probably pretty comparable. Maybe it may be.
Could be wheel slip.
Yeah, it could be.
Shitty driver. Maybe Ferrari needs us to come over there. Steve, you got some pull.
Show them a few things.
Call over and say, hey guys, can we book a
A little
flight?
pull, man. A little pull.
Show you bitches how to drive those Ferraris.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure in Italian they like you to call them bitches.
I believe that actually translates as bitches.
Yeah.
Something to that.
It sounds just like that.
With one of those things on the E.
Yeah.
Right, the twirly.
One of those things.
One of those things.
Is that what they call that? Yeah, it's one of those things.
Those deals.
And everybody knew what I was talking about, right?
Yeah.
Just one of those things.
Yeah. He can drive the Mercedes. He's got to come to us.
All right, you ain't coming to him. I will put that out to him. The kid's 21 years old. He's still got, maybe he's a little.
Well, tell him we'll take him to a strip club.
All right.
Well, so here's a question. I mean, you're his dad, a little biased maybe, but
Right.
How is he as a driver? Would you consider him a good driver?
Yeah.
For any age?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I noticed, I think with these kids nowadays too, right? I think growing up and doing the games that they did and the amount of control they have with the games and the racing games and all that stuff that they growing up, GT, Gran Turismo, or with the other racing games, Need for Speed and these things, right? They're good, fast, these kids, man. They know it. My kid's got a good sense, but I started him at about 11 years old, man.
Yeah.
And, not at the strip clubs and driving.
I was going to say.
We got the strip clubs a little bit later.
Yeah.
I was had to drive to get to the strip club, so we figured he got to learn manual transmission as a young age. But I figured if he got engaged as a young kid with a motorcycle, and then a manual, first with a 50cc, a little CRF 50. Then I got him on the 80 that he had to learn how to use his hand and release and do that, and then put him in the car at 11 years old and learn how to drive manual trans. And being that I'm his dad and he had a lot of cars around and he had a chance to do it, he's a good driver. I'll give him, he's probably some ways a better driver than I am. And if we were drifting or tracking and doing stuff like that, he's probably got a lot more skill than I do.
If you're out on a, let's say the turnpike or whatever, and it's balls to the wall, we're racing, is he as ballsy as you are when it comes to that kind of stuff?
No. I think he'd be a little more scared, a little more at the high speeds and stuff. Yeah. But if we were on a drift course and we were going around doing donuts and we're doing that, I think the kid would probably figure it out faster than me.
Yeah.
Learn it quicker, get better at it. And that's something we're getting into now. We're building a drift car, a Sylvia, a 240 SX that's pretty much ready to go. And so we're going to head out to Cotto Mills here to this kart racing place this weekend. Try to hook up with those guys, start doing some drifting out there.
That'd
awesome.
be badass.
Yeah, I'd love to. We ought to fucking do an episode there, man. Fucking around.
Burn some tires up, man, on it.
Let's go fuck some shit. I got a new set of tires for the Mercedes, so
let's destroy them, dude.
we can go destroy the fucking
We can destroy them.
Let's go ruin them real quick.
Yeah, that's more fun than driving fast, in my opinion. Let's go shred some tires, have some fun.
We went to that deal this weekend. We're at the Toyota Music Festival. Park up front, and I had a 720 following me. Well, he was leading, and then he was following me, and we got there, and he said, "You're a fucking idiot." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You drive like a madman." I was like, "Dude, that's just how me and Mike drive." I said, "You're just a bitch."
I mean, to me, that's what makes it fun out there is pushing it. I see so many fucking cars out there that aren't really willing to drive them, and it's like, why fucking have one then?
Yeah.
I mean,
half of them are sitting inside people's collections. They don't even get out on the road.
Yeah.
You're like, man, that I have a little problem with. I said, drive the cars, man. Yeah. They go bad when they sit.
Yeah, I mean, especially some of the higher, for Ferraris. I mean, I think is probably the most notorious brand that way of the most wasted fucking car.
And all the hypercars, you see all these guys getting the Koenigseggs and the Bugattis and all that, and they'll sit around or drive them 20 miles on the weekend. There were 2 delivered in Dallas or in Texas, one in Dallas, one in San Antonio or Houston, the maroon one. That dude, there's been more videos since he's got that out of that mother. He's hauling ass everywhere he's going.
Good for
driving
him,
that bitch.
That's
you
awesome.
see it at Burger King. I mean, that bitch is everywhere. And that's the type of shit. If I had that car and that money, that's what I'm going to do. I'm spending the money. I'm going to enjoy the shit out of the car.
Drive it, yeah.
It's going to depreciate. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I had fun.
Yeah. How many miles do you have on your 458?
My 458's got about 16,000, 17,000 miles on it.
And what year is it?
It's a 2011.
Yeah.
So it's still a low, I guess in general, it's lower mile. I bought it with 8,000 miles on it. And then I drove it to Canada the first, 2 days after I got it, we went to Canada and back with the thing.
Oh, shit.
On a rally with Daily Driven Exotics up there. And so I put about 4,000 miles on it right away. And then I started doing all my customizing stuff to it. And I put the HR wheels and different tires. So now my speedometer is so far off that even though it says 18,000 miles, it shows that I'm going faster than I really am.
Yeah.
So I'm adding more miles to the car than I'm really actually driving it.
Yeah.
Do I give a shit? No. I really don't, but because I want to drive the car and enjoy it. That's what I got it for. But about 18,000 now.
Yeah.
And well, I took it to, I went on that Triple Crown rally a few weeks ago.
Yeah, you drove the shit
We
out
did
of it.
San Antonio. We went from Dallas, San Antonio, went to Austin, and then came back. And that was my first time going that part through Lake Travis and some of those areas, man. That was a nice trip. Those country roads going out that way are great for that 150, 160 mile an hour kind of open stretches. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
The rally all together was good.
Yeah, man. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. We hadn't rallied in a long time. Obviously, this last year, a lot of rallies that were supposed to happen didn't. Texas opened up, so one of the first rallies was this Triple Crown. And for me, it was a great experience because I gotten to know all these people now in the Texas car community, the Park Up Front people. And I'd never been to San Antonio. I'd never been to Austin. So I'd never really seen Texas the way we saw it. Had a good buddy come down from Chicago, drove with me, my buddy Rudy, and we had a blast, man. It was a really, really good time.
That's good shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never done one. We've talked about there's one coming up. Was it September? I think, right?
Yeah, September, there's one.
What's that?
It's the Savage Rally.
Oh, okay.
It's D.C. to Pittsburgh to West Virginia to I think Nashville, and then
Yeah, it ends
back-
in Nashville.
it ends in Nashville.
Rallies are fun, man. They'll make a big difference about who's on the rally, though. What kind of guys are there, and there's usually a diverse enough group that if there's a few jerks, guys that just you don't kind of meet eye to eye with, kind of thing. But there's always good people too. It's fun.
Yeah.
I think rallies are good time, man. I used to do Gold Rush. I did 2 Gold Rushes. We did Gumball in Japan, and then did this Triple Crown rally here. And then I just had my own rally the other day. I had the StevesPOV. It's first of its kind, the inaugural K-car rally. Those mini Japanese K-cars, the little trucks and cars. I got 15 of those cars together, and we did a 2-hour rally
That'd be fun.
around Salina, Prosper, down to that. And I'll tell you what, it was a hell of a lot of fun, man.
Oh, I bet it was.
Talking about fun, nice people in a car community you don't mind spending time with. They're down to earth, just nice people, love their little mini cars.
Yeah.
And we had a blast, man.
That's good shit. Is there of all the rallies you've done, is there one that stands out as being the most favorite, memorable, best time?
I had they're all fun, I think, for different things. The Japan rally with Gumball when I was there, and was really, really fun. We had a great time. I brought a lot of my Japanese friends and guys with the crazy cars over there, together with guys who were there from all over the world for a rally. We did some unbelievable night driving. Some really, really, had a lot of fun over there in Japan with Gumball. That was probably the most memorable. But all of them, Gold Rush rally. I rallied in a '67 Mustang, an Eleanor Mustang fastback on my second Gold Rush rally. That was memorable too because I was the only guy in a classic car going across from Colorado back to LA in that car. That was fun.
So on those, are there points where you guys are really fucking hauling ass, or is it?
Yeah. There's points you open up, and there's guys who are just like, they tell you it's a rally, it's not a race, but there's guys who this is their chance to drive like fucking maniacs, and people just go crazy, and it's fun. It's fun, and then you get into situations where some of the locals in these areas you're coming through don't appreciate it a lot, so you'll get the guys in the pickup trucks in the middle of Utah who decide he's gonna block a row of supercars and just fuck with them, and so you get situations like that. And stuff too, and you get something, but it's people go out, they party hard, sometimes a little too hard, and they drive hard too on these rallies.
Yeah,
So the parties is where like you text people, random texts and shit.
At the parties,
Yeah.
I'm
not saying that happened to me from somebody.
random texts.
Yeah.
I'm more of the guy when I get in at the end of the thing. I like to go to dinner. I got work to do. I usually got a lot of footage that I was shooting that I got to go to work. So, and the party, and I want to be fresh next morning. But some of these guys will party all freaking night and get in the car the next day. And I say, stay away from that guy's car today.
Yeah. What's the average mileage dump on per day on the Gold Rush?
So on Gold Rush, it was a lot of miles, man. Those days were like straight driving, 8, 9, 10-hour days. we would do, man, I remember San Diego all the way up to Vegas, but through lots of back ways, and Colorado coming out. I would say probably, 400 or 500 mile days, 600-mile days. I mean, there was days we just drove. It seemed like it was never ending.
Yeah.
Days.
That's wild. That'd be
Triple
fun as
Crown
fuck.
was a little easier, because San Antonio was your spot. Stopped the one in between. San Antonio, it was more reasonable, which I liked, and it wasn't like, fuck, it's getting dark now, we got to be there in 2 hours or whatever. You can kind of take it a little bit easier. We stopped at lunch, but either way, man, I mean, it's fun. I think there's different goals on the different rallies, what the organizers are trying to do.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, you cover a lot of ground. There's a lot of driving.
Did you run into any law enforcement issues on Gold Rush?
Yes, all the time.
Like people getting pulled over? And
Yeah, guys getting pulled over. Guys going to jail. Guys
So how do they handle that?
Arizona twice. Two people went to jail during Gold Rush.
I mean, so do the organizers handle any of that, or is it just you're on your own, or what?
You're on your own. Yeah. This is a rally. It's not a race. You're on your own. You're out there. But the cops quickly pick up that we got 100 supercars coming across the I-10 heading eastbound right now. So the small town cops are saying, all right, this is payday right here. Yeah. So they're set up. They're getting it now in Arizona, a place like that. You're over 100 miles an hour. I think you go to jail and they take the car away.
Yeah.
And they weren't afraid to do that with some of the guys on the rally. Then you get some guys who are on the rally who got attitude, and they're giving the attitude to the cops too, or whatever. So that ain't helping them. So yeah, there's guys, lots of tickets, lots of some jail, some guys going back to bail people out of jail.
Yeah.
So there's definitely
That's
that.
a trip.
So we need to carry a spare credit card for get out of jail card.
Get at it, or hope it's in a no bail state, huh?
Yeah.
You can be back out rallying again real soon.
Yeah.
Or throw the key away on
They'd be like, oh,
you
man,
ain't getting no.
fuck them.
That's a fucking trip, man.
Yeah, no, they're fun, man. I think you guys should do one.
We
I think
were
really
talking
enjoy it.
about doing the one in September because it's the problem I think for us with Gold Rush is just it's too fucking long.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they split it up, or you can just do
rally.
sections of it or whatever. But to me, like if I was going to do that, I'd want to do the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
And so maybe a few years down the road when my schedule's not quite so crazy, but the one coming up in September, it's 4 or 5 days, I think, and it starts in D.C., ends in Nashville, and I think it's first night is in D.C., and then you go from there to Pittsburgh to is it straight to West Virginia, or is there one stop in between?
There's one in between. There was 5 nights,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Or it was one night the stage night, and then it was 4 days and nights of
So
rally.
yes, there's one I'm forgetting, but yeah, I mean it's basically the East Coast. You go up to Pittsburgh and then make your way down to I think Nashville, and I think it's Nashville, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of different rallies, and more people looking to organize them who've seen them come up. I mean, you want to go on one that's well organized, I would say. People who know what they're doing. I mean, Gold Rush has many years of doing it. A lot of these rallies have a few years under their belt, so they're well organized. You want to be with that group, the guys who get the nice hotels and get the nice meals and the stuff set up, because that's nice to pull into a nice place, set up, ready to go. They got utility vehicles, luggage vehicles. They got your luggage, so you don't have to worry about that. They're already at the place. Your luggage is sitting in your room when you get there.
That's pretty cool.
You got a nice organized rally when that kind of stuff's going on.
Yeah.
And like reserve parking everywhere you pull in, and
Yeah, instead of pulling up to a Motel 6 at 3 in the morning and hoping you're gonna fucking get a $29 room on your rally and
In a
park your
supercar, no less.
pieced out front. No.
yeah.
That sounds like a party, though.
Those are
In
some good-
Washington D.C. of places, we'll
yeah.
get you
That'd
in
be some
the,
good
the
YouTube
Motel
footage,
6.
maybe. But
Yeah. Here's a video of them stealing Mike's car.
Nice car. Well, the good news is with the Motel 6, at least you sit right in front. Your car, you could park it in front of your room.
yeah, you could set up a sniper hide in the window.
You're ready for them when they come for your car.
The bait car.
You did bring something up that I wanted to touch on, a little backtracking, and me and you went over this. You said you taught your son how to driving skills from a motorcycle to a car.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about this the other day when I was at his house, how we've noticed riding street bikes and all that help with awareness and ability to drive in traffic a little bit better.
Head on a swivel, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you're on a bike, you got to be aware. You're engaged with everything. As a little kid, it actually starts before the motocross with the CRF50. It goes back to BMX.
Yeah.
Well, it goes back to that the little bike with the training wheels that you took him in the park and let him go down a hill and fall down a few times and hurt himself and cry before they get over to learn how to get to that, and that fear is gone. And then, if the kid's into motorized stuff, that little 50cc becomes the next thing. But yeah, you got to engage. You got to understand foot. You got to understand hand. You got to understand throttle. So you're fully engaged. And I think it teaches that engagement with a vehicle, too. And then naturally from there, a manual then shifting, and then shifter carts is the next step for kids and then you get into the driving and a manual trans. And, I think the engagement, having engaged the thinking, understanding what the engine's doing, understanding that feel of a clutch grabbing and the throttle compensating, a throttle compensating with your foot to the clutch coming out. It all starts there, and I think you teach a kid young like that to do it. Kids can learn everything, man.
Yeah.
To me, that's the biggest kind of heartbreak I have with all of the hybrid and moving into the EV technology is the lack of that.
Yeah.
Is that, there's so much personality and enjoyment that you get out of doing all of those things in almost a symphony and doing it well that makes it the experience that it is. And I mean, we've talked about this a number of times, like, that's why I don't like Teslas. I don't care, or even the what's that fucking Croatian car that just came out? Whatever I don't remember the name of it.
I want to say Rentec, but that's not it. I know
it's something like that. But it's a 2,000 horsepower, 8.6 fucking quarter mile stock,
right?
EV car that like it's just blisteringly, obnoxiously fast. But to me, it's just there's not a lot of fun in that, or it's cool like once. Yeah. Like it's like to drive it
there's
once
no engaging.
There's no connection to the road the way that
You're
there is.
You're not one with the thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you think about cars. Now there's traction control on every vehicle, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't even try to burn out, or try to come around the corner and do that with most of the cars, right? But it being engaged in driving it, letting the clutch out, letting those wheels, tires spin, hitting that wet patch on the ground, getting your car, understanding how to grab it, how to get it out of it, how to save it in a situation. I don't know if people going forward driving these types of new cars will ever understand that side of the engaging in driving. That's why classic cars, and I say to kids all the time, I say to them, the kids at the car shows and stuff who's come up and talk about the new cars and all the, the pistas and all this stuff. I said, they're beautiful, but go back, man. If you really want to do yourself a favor, go back and look at where a car, go back and look at, you like Ferraris, go look at a Dino. Go look at a 6-cylinder gated straight six, Dino. Look and smell it and drive it and feel it and, understand what non-power steering felt like and what a clutch that, is totally different. It's not hydraulic in the sense of, modern clutches or anything, and engage with a car to really understand it because it's too easy, man.
Yeah.
Next, you'll be getting in the car just saying go.
Yeah. I mean,
sitting back and going.
Yeah. I mean, to me, what I do like about, and maybe this is, my age, not having grown up, in the 60s with muscle cars, but what I love about cars like the Pista or just kind of the last of the still cars that you can get crazy in is that you can strike like a happy medium.
Yeah.
You can turn all of it off if you want, or most of it.
Yep.
And so you get kind of a nice mix of still getting to fuck around and have fun, but not fucking Paul Walker yourself. I mean, because that's the gist of it, right? Is that Carrera GT? It's a 600 horsepower rear wheel drive car with no driver assistance whatsoever. And I mean, granted, I think it was his financial advisor that doesn't know how to drive that was driving them around when they got killed. But a little bit of a safety net is good, especially if you're just learning, how to do that. And with the cars being as powerful as they are, like there kind of has to be something there. But that's what I love about ESC off or or even CT off is that there's still just enough to keep you from fucking rolling it, but you still feel alive and it's still a fucking blast to drive.
CT off in my 458 is the way I drive it.
Yeah.
I like to kick it out. I like to slide a little bit and do stuff. But you're right. It can get away from you if you're not careful. So having that, I guess, last line of defense is good because I guess you start losing it in a Carrera GT and a Viper, something like that. You're in a lot of shit, huh?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, to me, like again, I just think it's a good happy medium of it's not completely sterile where it takes all the fun out of it, but it's not so fucking wild to where one patch of fucking grass cuttings or sand or whatever that when you're really hammering, it's going to end up fucking killing you either. So I don't know. To me,
there was a car here recently that we witnessed that. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Oh, we talking about a few months back?
No, this week, the UGR green Huracan.
No.
Yeah, it hit the curb, lost control, hit the curb.
Oh no.
Could be
Yeah,
total.
fucked the car all up.
Yeah.
Driver okay?
Driver's okay, and reached out. I don't know if I told you this. Reached out and got word. If you watch the video, it looks like he just lost it. It just looks like total driver error. Well, he explains. I went back and watched the video. There was a chunk of curb or rock that had fell out of something, and right when you see him swerving, after he says that, you can see it in the road, but it's happening so fast. He swerves to miss that, but he's in full boost.
Oh.
So the car is just, it's gone.
Can I find this online? Can I put this
I
on?
can send it.
Okay, yeah.
I can send it to you. And yeah, I mean, if you can slow it down or hit a circle around the rock, because the dude's a driving motherfucker. I mean, he's got a stage 3 UGR Huracan, and it's not like it's a new build. He drives the shit out of it everywhere.
Yeah.
And all of us know our cars are like gloves to us, or a pair of shoes. They're fitted to us. We know the car. Almost any situation we get in our personal cars, we're aware and we know how to get out of it. And I'm sure it's the same way for him. And that just goes to show the unexpected shit you can get into while driving these cars that a lot of us aren't aware of, you know. But ESC, if his ESC was off, it makes me wonder if he was in full boost with ESC off, which I bet he was. If it would have been on, would it have saved that car?
Yeah, probably.
You know, so there's that happy medium with the Motec. Does the Motec fix that? You know what I mean? Because you know it's Motec.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess with that too, I mean, there's a certain, we're at a certain point where, you know, 1,200 horsepower, you know, even with driver assistance, maybe it wouldn't have, I don't know, but that's one of the things I really like about modern motorcycles too. Like I can appreciate the old school, you know, I mean, fuck, that Indian right there is kind of an example of that. There's no tech to it at all.
Right.
You know, I mean, getting on it, even though it's only about an 88, 89 horsepower, engine, you know, it's not set up like a sport bike that way, but, you know, you can get the rear end to fucking slip pretty easy on it, you know, even in fucking third gear.
On this bike?
Oh, yeah. So that there's a feeling to it that's pretty fucking awesome, but I think looking back at some of the older cars, engine wise, that was the driver assistance, right? It was the fact that it wasn't a 700 horsepower fucking engine,
right?
And so that's that way too. Is that you can feel it slip and you can get a little stupid on it,
right?
But the engine isn't big enough and powerful enough to take you all the way over the edge, and so I think that's kind of where the you're going over the crux of the wave, so to speak, is that the engines are now so fucking powerful that you're honestly only your limitations in a lot of cars nowadays are the tires, and so without some sort of assistance that way, and that's what I love about like the new Aprilia bike that I have is so fucking customizable with that stuff, whether it's traction control or engine mapping or engine braking or wheelie control, all that stuff. There's basically 6 settings that you can dial up or down on that.
Right.
And same kind of thing is that it's such just a motherfucker of an engine that, with all of that off, like you better be real goddamn good at riding a motorcycle. And even then, like one little thing of fucking, sand or grass clippings or fucking trying to avoid a turtle that's dead in the, whatever it is, and you're fucking dead on that thing, And so having just enough of the engine fucking helping you out with those driver assistance things is to me kind of that perfect marrying of still having a lot of fun, but not, completely risking your fucking sack every time you get on it.
I hope the turtle you're talking about is one of those real rare ones that you can go to prison for if you did hit it. So, I mean, that would be the only way.
Well, I just mean like if you're on a motorcycle, like
running that bastard over.
I'm not running a turtle over on a motorcycle.
No, that's probably not a good formula.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, even a small roadkill is something that'll fuck you up if you're getting squirrely on a fucking sport bike, and especially around here, some of the fucking rolling hills. You like that shit comes up pretty quick, and it's one of the things I have learned here recently. I didn't realize how slippery a road is with fresh grass clippings on it. It's like fucking worse than sand.
It's like water down
there.
there.
If you're going around a corner and somebody's fucking mowing and there's a smattering of that shit, like if you don't slow the fuck down, you're dumping it for sure, So
that was a pet peeve of mine, speaking about cutting grass and wet grass on the road. In California, this used to piss me off, and I've started noticing it, and I hope it's not a trend that comes here. Guys cut the lawn, right? You pay a landscaper. I notice here, by the way, too, a lot of people cut their own lawns here. It's very impressive to see people taking the care on their acre properties, doing it themselves. Coming from California, I always had a landscaper, so I hired a landscaper here. But the point I want to make is these guys cut the lawn, right? And they get that blower out, right? And they start blowing the shit. Where do they blow it?
In the
Right
street.
into the fucking road.
Yeah.
So, right, and then 2 seconds later, after 20 cars go by, the fucking shit's sitting back on the guy's grass and fucked up his whole property.
Yeah.
I said, what happened to you blow that shit into a pile, scoop it up, and put it in a trash can? That don't seem to happen in California. Now, here, I don't know. I noticed they cut the grass and they leave it. They don't scoop it up and throw it away. They leave it on the grass here, so it's different. But on the road is what pisses me off with those landscapes.
No, I agree. It shit drives me nuts. I mean, 'cause especially like it's windy and there's cars driving around. It's like it's like watching a guy mop up the fucking the surf on a beach. It's like, what's the fucking point? You know?
Point.
Yeah, that shit
it out in the
pisses me
road.
off. But
A lot of it, what is it, recycle, mulch? The shit?
yeah, I mean, you should leave the grass clippings in your yard.
In the
it's
yard,
way
right?
better for
Yeah,
your
for-
yard.
Let it,
Yeah.
right.
The type of grass we have here, it's real good to have it in for the vitamins and all that. They go back in and it reset. But yeah.
I'm learning about the grass differences here in California. There's a lot of stuff to learn, man. Different stuff. Same United States of America, and I'll tell you the differences from place to place on little things that you don't always think about.
Yeah.
You know, where you live, the environment you're in.
I mean, it's almost like Europe that way. You know, where it's actually. I mean, America's bigger than the majority, bulk majority of Europe, but.
Place to place.
Yeah, I mean, if you go, Germany, Italy, Holland, Norway, like there's pretty obviously very significant changes both in culture and in geography. But same here. I mean, like if you're in Portland or fucking Mobile, Alabama, like those are two different fucking planets.
Both have a lot of meth.
Yeah, well, there is right. There is a common point.
There are a few
There is a
parallels,
common
but
connection.
yeah, I mean, there's huge differences.
Oh, it's so huge. And then it's Texas. You never realize, you grow up here and, you look at a map and Texas is big, but you really don't realize how freaking big this state is.
Yeah.
California is big too, but Texas is bigger feeling than California, meaning the same 20-minute trip to wherever you're going. You're covering a hell of a lot more ground here going 20 minutes than you are in California. And California's big. And I used to think coming from New Jersey, right, in Japan to California, that, man, got to go grocery shopping. It's a 20-minute journey, or something like that by the time you get there. I used to say, God, it takes, everything's so big here. Then I came to Texas. I'm like, man, I mean, everything is bigger in Texas. I mean, for real.
No, it's nuts. I mean, what's crazy about, like, say from here, if you drive from here to San Diego, the halfway point is still in Texas.
Unbelievable, right? Like,
yeah.
yes, we hit the border.
Yeah.
Like, you're not even halfway, bro. I
Yeah.
mean, you're still
Fucking crazy.
right. Texas. We coming from California, we got to that border, and what is that? Is it El Paso? Wherever we came into.
Yeah.
I'm like, hell yes, finally.
Yeah, you still
My
got-
son's like, Dad, there's like 10 hours left.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just went through 4 states, and we still got 10 hours just in Texas to get halfway through Texas.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, if you go east to west across Texas, that's a fucking 2-day drive.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
We should do
we,
that rally.
Yeah, no shit. West Texas rally.
Yeah.
the West Texas rally.
That would be good.
I did it the other day. I came in through. I did that trip the first day. The other day, Atlanta, right? We went through. What was it? Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and then to Texas. And I was like, again, we hit that Texas border with my son. We drove it straight. I said, man, thank God we're back in Texas. He's like, don't be thankful yet, Dad.
Yeah,
He
it's
said,
still
we got a
4.5
long way to
hours.
go. And he said,
I would do a West Texas rally like in October.
Oh, yeah.
October, November, not
nice
not this
dirty-
goddamn.
yeah.
I want to
time
wait
here.
until the shit's hot in the border and shit, where we can go by the Mexico border, maybe get shot.
oh,
you know,
yes.
we lost
Live
one.
fire, and we lost.
Well, I mean,
Lost one gun.
Juarez is pretty much that way all the time.
Yeah,
So the
see?
El Paso Juarez
Yeah.
fucking border is
Yeah.
always
You got really close there. You look at the map while you're going
it's
through
right
there. You're
there.
like, damn, I could take a piss and probably hit
Yeah, you
Mexico
can
from here.
Yeah, you can
Definitely
see
not
it
a place
close.
you throw fireworks out the window as you're driving by.
Yeah.
It's but we're so happy to be here. I saw you guys here, well, in the other studio not long after we moved to Texas, and since then it's been 6, 7, 8 months. And no regrets, man. We love it. I love the people, love the car community, love the food, the culture, love the land, like the freedom. I
Yeah.
like that Texas is not afraid to stand up when it needs to stand up, it seems, for shit that needs to be stood up for. And, don't mess with Texas. I'd like to see more of that too. I like that. I'm a proud Texan. I really feel that way. And
Yeah, you've converted very well.
It didn't take long or take much to do it. It's really after, I mean, we knew this was the place, but after living here now for this amount of time, it's confirmed the fact that we made a great choice in coming here.
How's the kid take it? I mean, it seems like he's enjoying himself, but that's a big transition at that age.
Yeah, he's taking it really well. Lately, you know, I noticed, you know, he comes back from school. The thing he doesn't have here is friends.
Yeah.
He doesn't, you know, he has his dad's friends. He has, you know, a bunch of old guys like you.
Yeah.
Like you.
That's fucked up. He's
me,
older
but,
than me.
Sure, I'm older.
and he likes the old guys. He likes the old guy. He hangs out with the old guy. But I think as a 21-year-old kid, too, it's probably a place that you want to hang out with maybe other 21-year-olds.
I tell you, it's way better for him to hang out with fucking old guys that are actually going to give him good advice and not make him do dumb shit.
He's
There's
learning.
that.
I tell him he's connecting. He's got connections. He's got people he knows. He can make calls. He's set up. You know, he's learning to be a dentist. That's what he's going to school for. And after one final long last year here in Georgia, where he's at school in Atlanta, I'm dragging his ass back to Texas, and he'd go to dental school here. And, you know, let's buy some land, buy him, get him, teach him how to own his own real estate, own his own dental office, be a dentist, but be a landlord at the same time. Yeah. And all these old guys that we're talking with, all the shows all weekend, he sees the guys who are doing it. Successful dentists, successful realtors.
Oh, that's better than being at the fucking club with the guy in the extra medium T-shirt, fucking, you know, chasing pussy. I mean,
it doesn't lead to very good stuff, right?
No,
you know,
I mean,
I want to train him to use this head a little bit more than that.
No, I mean, from a priority standpoint, you know, if you're surrounded by guys that are doing, you know, successful things and you know, owning businesses or real estate or, you know, fucking whatever. I mean, most of the people that are at car shows are good guys to know.
Yeah.
You know? I mean,
he chose to be a dentist because growing up, whether it was in Japan or whether it was wherever we lived, we always kept running into dentists who had nice cars.
Really?
So the kid liked cars, you know, always growing up. That's funny. And then he was going to school and he's thinking about what he wanted to do. And from a young age, he says, I want to be a dentist. And I said to him one day, I said, why? Because all the dentists got nice cars. He says, I want to have nice cars, so I think I want to be a dentist. And he kept that. And that's what he's studying for, you know, pre-med and business as well behind it. And then meeting the people that are here, a real diverse group of people from, you know, from all over that he's met in Japan and here and everything else. He's kept that dream and he likes it. I think he misses having some friends his age a little bit more and that. So that's the only thing. But my wife likes it here.
Yeah.
She really likes it here. We're no regrets, man. And people are following me here. Guys that call me who watch the channel. Yeah. And I'm a realtor too, so you know I got licensed here, and people have followed me here. Guys who have now moved to areas not far from McKinney and where I'm at, and there's more and more people coming. I get the "Don't California my Texas" thing.
Yeah.
I get it.
Don't come here and fuck our shit up.
I was told that over and over when I got here. I'm still. People say to me now, "I hope you don't fuck up our state." I said, "I'm not fucking up the state," you know. And I said, and I respect differences, and I think a lot of the Californians and other people that are coming here aren't necessarily coming here to fuck up the state. I think they're coming here to get away from a fucked up state, and come here to do it. The concern is when big companies maybe relocate, I think, and they bring, you know, a lot of employees with them who didn't have a choice in maybe coming other than their job. Mm-hmm. That may be where you get into people who maybe, you know, think in some ways differently in the sense of politics or other stuff, or may have some ambitions in fucking up the state.
Yeah.
You know, I can't say it for sure, but you hope that they come here and open their eyes and say, well, you know what? Maybe we won't fuck up the state. Maybe this isn't too bad, right, the way it is. You know, people seem to mind their own business here. People seem to just do their own thing. You know, and like I said, my neighbors, we don't talk politics, but, you know, they hang the flag proudly in front of their house. They were pissed off on Memorial Day when somebody went fucked with somebody's flag. We live in a gated community. Somebody had a Marine, Navy, you know, the four branches of the military were on a memorial flag in front of his house. Somebody fucked with his flag on Memorial.
Really?
And people were pissed in that neighborhood. And they weren't afraid to say they were pissed. My neighbor next to me, he says, dude, come fuck with my flag. Come fuck with my flag. Yeah. Please come fuck with my flag. Yeah. You know, and that feels good, man. I like that. Yeah. I really like that. And I like the pride in Texas. I like seeing the Texas flag right there. Or, you know, in a lot of cases, people seem to fly it above the American flag.
We're the only state that can.
Yeah.
We're one of the only states where people get tattoos of the shape of their fucking state on their legs and shit. Like California does it and Texas does it. Everybody else doesn't care.
Texas is the only state in the union that can fly above the United States flag.
Is that so? I always wondered about that. God, country, but and stuff. So I always wondered sometimes. But you see, I just what is there? Some, there's a provision to allow you
We're
to
just
fly.
better.
I'm cool with it, man.
I can't remember the law that
Yeah,
allowed it,
I'm not familiar with it,
but I know we're the only one in all the United States that are allowed to fly above.
It's because the San Jacinto Monument's like 12 feet higher than like the Washington Monument. It's got to be
Something.
it. Yeah.
There's
Just
something
bigger.
I can't remember. It was all when they integrated into the union and all that shit. They were like, no.
Listen, California flies it's a cool looking flag, right? It flies the flag. People got T-shirts with the California flag on and all that too. But I don't get the same, after living there, I mean, people may be proud of being from California, but I don't get that same sense of pride that you get from people who are from Texas and about the state here and their connection to this state.
Yeah, I don't think that there is another state in the country that even comes close, frankly, that has the kind of state pride that people from Texas do.
I love that, man.
Yeah, it's awesome.
What'd be cool is if most of the people that lose their pride of the United States would come here, stay here for a couple months, and figure out, well, shit, we could take this home and do the same thing in Tennessee, California, and everything. Yeah. You can have pride at wherever this whole United States should be prideful of what we have.
Yeah.
But people just keep wanting to fuck it up and and
To me,
water it
that's
down.
to me that's one of the most alarming things is the lack of fucking pride in one's nation that seems to exist, where there's so many entities, both political and otherwise, that just degrade the fucking nation, saying it's not a good country and it comes from fucking a terrible place and blah blah blah, and it's just like, fucking leave then.
Yeah. I
think
say we
people-
take buses and just, this bus is going to Afghanistan and y'all are going to live there as those people for 60 days.
Yeah.
This bus, we're taking you guys to
6
Mexico and you're going to live in Juarez
Trading spaces.
for 60 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, like trading spouses.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Maybe half of you'll make it back.
Yeah. Which is fine with me too.
Yeah.
Hey, you've been around the world. I lived in a lot of countries. I think sometimes what happens is, my take on it is that you take for granted what you have when you're in it all the time. And until you get away, step away from what you have, go somewhere else, and then look at what you have from a distance, you don't really, you lose perspective on the goodness or the greatness and what it is. It becomes easy to want to tear it down or make, come up with, just to not understand it or respect how good it is until you get away from it. So, I always say, because I go to Japan a lot, when I'm not in Japan, when I'm in Japan, I'm frustrated sometimes because of how crowded it is, how many people there are, being like a sardine in a train. I mean, it sucks. But then I leave Japan, I come back, and I start thinking about how polite people are when you're face-to-face with somebody you don't know in a train. Nobody's fighting, spitting, nobody's doing nothing, you know what I mean? How customer service-oriented people are there, how all these beautiful things that we don't see all the time here. But then again, when I'm in Japan, then I look back at the U.S. and say, man, look at those open country roads, or look at the cost of gas, in Texas. So although that's changed, we can talk about that too. But but look at the things that we have there, the space. Look at the acre lot that I live on. I can't do that in Japan until you get away from it. Look at the freedoms. Look at the pride in the country. Look at the guys who served our country, who died for the country, who did that. I mean, it's not in Japan. I'll tell you what, people don't fly their flag the way we fly our flag. They don't. And I used to tell the people too, I said, why? And I think after the war, Japanese became a little embarrassed about, or that strong nationalism was part of what brought Japan into World War II. And, they lose to the United States. And the flag isn't really seen in Japan the way we fly it here. It's not a common thing. Got guys with stickers on their cars and stuff. But more and more lately, you see more and more of it. And I'll talk to guys, and they say, wow, we're really envious how you guys in the U.S. always showing off your flag, and Steve, you fly it by your house, or you have it on your cars, or on your hat, or whatever. In Japan, I said, man, you got to have pride in what if we're not proud of locally, right, like your kids, your family, your situation, how are you going to be proud about your state, your country, or anything else, you know. I mean, proud of that. Don't be embarrassed about who you are or what you are. Be proud about it. Share the goodness with other people.
I think you're totally right, man. After World War II, it's a weird spot. Japan's one of the only countries ever in history that had people who were so proud to be Japanese and be who they were. They were flying planes into boats.
Yeah.
And they had stories of guys going out and living in the woods for 40 years because they didn't believe the war was over. Right. What other state, what other country can claim that, like that people were so devoted to it? So yeah, coming off it.
I think a lot of that was
scary,
crushed after the war, and a lot of it was changed, and the fear of that strong nationality. I think, you know, other Asian countries got scared of it, Korea and other places. You know, and Japan took off and focused on being successful in business, and they did a great job. But there's never, look around, you know, if you see, I mean, you know, kids here fly the Japanese flag more on their Japanese car, their JDM cars than Japanese do in, you know, around Japan. It's funny, but that's the way it is. And I think we got to be proud of what we have. You know, everybody should be proud of who they are, where they come from. You got that. I don't know. You got a base to do anything.
Do you see as heavily as ingrained as politics have become in our society? When you go to Japan, do you see any similarity that way, or are they far less political than we are?
Way far less political, but I see people trying to politicize things there too, in a way. Not fully similar, but I do see it. And you see it coming from the same factions of people in societies, you know what I mean? Looking to take, you see, Japan is a pretty homogenous society, right? I mean, you're talking about it's 99-point-something% Japanese, right? There's Koreans who were in Japan who were born there, and there's some discrimination, but for the most part, everybody's Japanese. You know, so it's hard to pick people or base people based on maybe things like race or other things here that maybe with a diverse society like ours that they're able to do. But I see it, man. I see harassment became a big word in Japan. That, you know, power harassment, sexual harassment, other harassment. So you get a lot of, you know, and perhaps there's problems with that in Japan society too. But you start to see some forces that want to make Japanese people not be proud of Japan, maybe be embarrassed of their history, you know, the war, you know, what was done, you know, atrocities that were committed in Asia and Korea, you know, things that they did. And I think, I don't know, it seems like there are forces in Japan that don't want people to really be proud of their country. And there's not an aggressive nature to Japanese people. They're very, you know, pretty docile, pretty, you know, get along, let's, you know, quiet, everybody get along thing. But that pride in the country, man. Sometimes I say, God, be proud about what you guys do. You guys lost in war in 30 years, become the #1 economy almost in the entire world, in a country the size of, you know, that fits inside of California, with half the population of the entire United States. Dude, man, you guys should be proud as can be. Be proud to be Japanese. Be proud of the culture that you have, the history that you have. I mean, you know, the history is history. You guys didn't cause that. Be proud of who you are and what you got today. And what you could do for your country and for the world, and if you love America, for Japan and America together. I try to tell kids that, and they don't know. I don't think that they were brought up thinking that way in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I know one thing where you can see a lot of integration between Japan and the United States, and I bring this up a lot. It's my favorite place to go, Hawaii. Yeah. And you can see how polite the Japanese are. And I had someone ask one time, we were touring the Pearl Harbor. I was like, why is there so many Japanese people here? You not realize, dumbass, this is much their history sitting right here as it is our history. Yeah. And it's a trip how integrated that whole state over there is. I've never paid attention. They're more a democratic state, aren't they?
Hawaii.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, as far as politeness, though, you don't go to Hawaii and see a bunch of assholes over there unless they're tourists. Everybody seems cool as hell. And someone said, there's a lot of homeless people here. Tell you now, if I'm going to be homeless, the place I'd like to go fucking be homeless is over there.
Yeah, no shit.
It's expensive in Hawaii, man. So if you manage to get your way over to Hawaii, you better find out how you're going to live there and afford to live there, because that's one
I'm going to live on the beach in a tent. Yeah. My first investment's a tent.
Just fish for your food.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I think Japanese people are polite. They love America.
Yeah.
They really do love things here. I like bringing the two cultures together, and I like having an influence on younger people there too, to be proud about being who they are. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if you want to talk about Japanese guys putting tattoos of their flag on their arm, no.
Yeah. No. They're not doing that.
No, you're not seeing a lot of that.
What in terms of the car side of Japan, what is it about JDMs specifically that seems to catch your interest so heavily?
You know, for me, it was a long time before I took a liking to Japanese cars. Growing up in the 70s and in New York and New Jersey and being around muscle cars and being around American cars, I always thought Japanese cars were pieces of shit. I remember the family down the street. We used to go to school together. The mom, they bought an old Datsun 510 or whatever they were back, 210 or whatever those. Everybody had one, little station wagons back then, driving to school. And I said, man, got no power. It's small. It's ugly. What is these things? You know, I mean, it was about American muscle, American power. I had no interest. And got to Japan and started seeing these cars in the 90s, early 90s when I got to Japan. Started seeing these cars that we'd never seen in the U.S. before, right? Cars that they made, their Skylines and other stuff. And then the way they stylized the cars. Guys weren't afraid to take nice cars and slam them and put nice wheels on them and tint the glass on them and inside, beautiful carpet inside. They would take their shoes off inside before you go drive in the cars. You know, not just at home, but before you get in the car, hey, take your shoes off. And there was a little holder for your shoes inside the car, so the car didn't trash cans inside the cars to keep all the things. They kept the cars immaculate. And I saw that. I said, wow, this is a car culture I never knew, and these cars are actually pretty cool. And then you started looking at ways to modify them and way to customize them. And you started seeing kids here then, as I would come back, taking older Japanese cars and modifying them and customizing them and taking things that were traditionally Japanese ways of modding cars and bringing them here and applying here. And it grew on me, man. It really grew on me. And then my kids started growing up and, you know, movies like Fast and Furious.
So with the Tokyo Drift, like, is that obnoxiously inaccurate? I mean, obviously some of it is, but I mean, is that kind of that way there?
Somebody asked me this question the other day. I describe that Tokyo Drift like this. I describe it like, I think the base is, there's a base of reality, and then there's the blown up, you know, steroid, you know, infused crazy,
Hollywood
you know,
stuff.
Hollywood craziness to make it, you know, fashionable for people and fun to watch.
Same with military movies.
Yeah, right. There's
totally
a base for
overboard.
for the reality of it, but everything after that is kind of you know, a lot of bells and whistles.
Yeah,
for sure. So but look at the influence that movie had.
Oh, it's huge.
I ask people who own Japanese cars here. I have a series on my channel called Americans Who Love JDM. You ask them, I'd say if they're in their 20s, maybe 30s, almost every single one of them, hands down, say Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
You know, that's what motivated me to get into Japanese cars.
Yeah, sure.
I was gonna say that new one comes out
Friday.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say the day when this comes out, it will have come out Friday, so
There
it's
you
already
go.
in theaters. Yeah.
Are you going to it? Are you
No.
a Fast and the Furious fan or no?
No,
Have you seen all 9 of them?
I wind up falling asleep. I'm in the first 10 minutes. I'll be sleeping in the movie theater. I'll be the guy they want out of the theater. I ain't good with movies. I don't watch movies. I don't watch YouTube. I don't watch a whole lot
Steve,
of
you're
stuff.
not supposed to say that with a YouTube
You're
channel.
on YouTube. Yeah.
I know, but I'm uninfluenced.
Yeah, that is
How's
true.
that?
Hey.
Now,
That is true.
did I plug that in pretty
You
good
did,
right there?
you did
like
that.
huh?
You did that.
That's exactly why I'm uninfluenced.
Yeah.
I don't even watch you.
Nigga, I don't want you either. I can't understand the words coming out of your mouth.
I put those things called the ABC, the alphabet down below with the translation. So
Yeah.
Oh, but you got to be able to read to.
Yeah, that's
Right,
where it
so
gets me. Like if it was just pictures of the words you're saying at the bottom, like little emojis.
Well, thank God he does it in English, man, because I had to catch the Lara Logan.
Oh yeah,
Man, I like her.
yeah. She's a force to be reckoned with, no doubt about it.
I mean, she doesn't have balls. I don't think, but she's got balls.
She's got lady balls.
She's got bigger balls than mine. I mean, I'll tell you, she is. I like people who are willing to just talk what needs to be said and talk the truth and not be afraid to say it.
Yeah, especially in the position that she's in, you know, with the ramifications associated with her saying what she said.
She paid the price for it, right? I mean, because in the sense of she lost employment due to.
Sort of. I mean, there's a series of events, but to me the neat thing, at least from when I had her on to, you know, the initial kind of pseudo fallout. I mean, there were, you know, people on the left that I think ostracized her for saying what she said on the show. But the neat thing is that there were a lot of right outlets that did the exact opposite. You know, I mean, Fox brought her on as a correspondent for them, and she's been doing a bunch of
I love it.
pieces down at the
Fox
border
Nation
and
at the border and
yeah,
stuff
you know,
she's
so
really great.
yeah, it's neat to see, you know, some good come out of it. You know,
Yeah, no, I love that. Sometimes things happen for reasons, right? So if it led to
sometimes.
something good for her,
yeah, I'm not an everything happens for a reason kind of guy, because I think some things are really fucked up, you know. But
Yeah.
but
But a lot of things. I mean, I think about how people meet. You know, more and more I meet people.
yeah,
And then you think about later down in life, it could be years later, and then something with that person comes through again, and you think back to what it meant at the time. Maybe it wasn't clear, but then you say, there was a reason I met that guy at that point.
Yeah.
There was a reason this happened. And sometimes those reasons suck, though, but then sometimes later it seems to come clear what
yeah. Sometimes it's just a good learning experience,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
cost of learning, man.
Yeah, hell, we didn't meet except for the car I have outside. He wanted to know about that car, and then we just bullshitting.
Yeah, I had ordered it, and they told me it was going to be like 6 or 7 more months. And he was at a car show. It was the first one I'd ever seen in person, because they were like, "Yeah, we're not going to get any in for a while." So when I saw him, I was like, "How the fuck did you get this already?" You know, and
Special.
You see that? Wow.
and then just getting to talking, you know, he's like, "Yeah, you can drive it if you want." I was like, "Really?" Like, I mean, I just met the guy, you know, and he's like, "Yeah, you can drive this $140,000 fucking car."
I don't give a shit.
He's like, "But I live all the way over here." And I was like, "Dude, that's where I live." You know, we find out we're an hour and 10 minutes from our houses, but we live 2 minutes away from
minutes
each
away.
other. You know, it's like, what the fuck? And
See?
Yeah.
Again,
we've been making out ever since.
Yeah,
so.
he hadn't been able to shake me ever since. He wakes up, I'm in his driveway.
I love it, man. It was meant to be. Look, you're a year and a half
Yeah.
later or whatever it is. You guys, you guys got a lot going on.
But I mean, it's a car culture. I mean, and there's a lot of hobbies that end up pushing people together.
Yeah.
You see it in the gun world, you know, the car world. And then a lot of times people that are involved in guns start, hold on, you can modify cars like you do a gun. And then same with cars. You can modify a gun like you can a car. You know, oh shit, I'm gonna get into that now, you know, and both hobbies are expensive as fuck.
Yeah, both of them are rabbit holes that once you get started in them, you're like,
And then
Jesus
you
Christ.
well, there's the next rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Oh, man, you see all these things, but they all go together. Guns, cars, girls, watches.
Yeah.
The girls are probably the most expensive of all
there's
these.
no-
Any
there's no
motherfucker who
probably
said
about
he's never paid for sex is full of shit.
Yeah, there's no probably.
You're probably better off paying for it. if
It's
you want
probably
my
cheaper to
opinion.
get a hooker.
Oh, it's way cheaper.
Oh yeah,
Make them
100%.
go away. I pay to go away.
Yeah.
That's don't be a cheapskate, right? They said nothing's more expensive than something that's free.
Yeah.
You like that expression? That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, pay for it, man. Pay for it, because you'll pay more later than you will right now.
You
That's
ain't
my
bullshit.
that's my advice on that.
Oh, my wife is expensive. Oh, I mean, she's a great lady.
You may be responsible for that. How
I'm 100%. That's my fault, but I deal with it.
I like your wife. She's very nice.
Yeah, you like her because she came and bought shirts.
She bought
and I
some
was telling
merchandise
her,
from me last week. I love her.
Don't buy that shit. It's gonna fall apart. He got some sweatshop in Japan.
I
putting
told
that
that's
shit
right. I got a bunch of underage kids.
Yeah.
Right, making T-shirts for me and by hand.
No wonder you go to Japan all the time.
Yeah.
Got to check on the fucking
You gotta
on the
check
outfit.
on that merch.
On the operations, right?
Yeah.
No, man, she's cool, and you guys are cool. And I'm glad I met you. How did we meet?
We met. I seen a video you were putting up. I'm moving to Texas.
Yeah.
Like, no fucking way. And then I'm big on knowing the landscape of where people are at. And I seen where you were at. And I just shot you a message. Hey, man, when you move here, just let me know you need anything. I'm probably 45 minutes away. And it got to, hey, where's this? It's 45 minutes away. Where's this? It's 45 minutes away.
Right, everything's
And then I
45
pretty much told anywhere you want to go is around 45 minutes away.
away.
And then I was
right.
like, when you're in town, let's get together and do something. And I was like, we don't have to film. And then you were like, oh, shit. And then from there, it just went to, like Mike, I mean, I'm not big on pushing to, hey, let's film.
Yeah.
Let's do. I mean, if we're going to film together. But let it be natural, you
Natural
know.
way to do it.
More of a friendship, because it's easier to talk to someone that
Right.
you see at every event. You make sure to say hi, bye, and shit like that. Shit, I've walked the event with your son, not realizing or giving a shit. Hey, this is a 21-year-old. We're watching, talking about cars, not giving. Next thing we know, where the fuck's your dad at? I don't know.
Well, I know, because I usually open the door of my car when I get to an event, close it, and stand in that one spot right outside that door for about 2 hours, right? Then realize the event's over, because I haven't moved 3 feet from, I think, talking to people the entire time.
Yeah.
I didn't piss. I didn't drink nothing. I didn't do nothing. Usually at that point, I'm running to show, find a bush where I could take a squirt before we got to leave and go somewhere else. But yeah, that's usually where I am. So my kid's smart enough now. He gets up and goes around. He knows if I don't get footage from the event, I can't put a video out.
Yeah.
So he'll go out and grab some footage for me and come back, and I'm still in one spot.
Yeah.
Stuck right there. So now I've got a system to play. I got 3-4 different guys that I've been hanging out with. I said, listen, we got to get a system going where, so if I get trapped where I can't get away, and I like talking to people, I'm cool meeting people, and I don't mind, but I can't just sit in one spot. I got to move around.
Yeah.
So we got little code words, keywords.
Yeah.
Code word Kravis.
Steve, your dick's out.
That's-
What? No.
That one's good too. I said, didn't you have a meeting with Kravis? I said, oh shit, what time is it? Oh yeah, right now, dude. I'm sorry, I gotta go.
Yeah.
Or I love when somebody else will walk up, like Matt will come up while I'm talking to somebody for a long time, right? And I'll be like, and the guy will still tell me about something that honestly may be something so not interesting. I just can't, I'm ready to just, end it. So Matt will come over and say, do you know Matt? By the way, he is so freaking cool. You got to talk to him, man. You guys are going to get along so good. And bang, dark.
Yeah.
And
He's
I
done
come
that.
back 2 hours later.
So now that we know your tactics, when I hear the Kravis thing, I'm be like, motherfucker, you don't have to meet anybody.
Don't hand them off to me, man. Don't hand them off to me.
I know who to look for, too, in his little group
Yeah.
that's popping off at him. So,
Or I'll just be like, oh, I'll go with you.
yeah.
Exactly.
I'll follow you over there. I've been wanting to meet that motherfucker.
That's my little bitch, they call him. That's my bitch. That's what he's been called lately. So
Yeah, you've done that to me a couple of times. Hey, have you met Matt? And then I turn around.
I'm gone, right?
You guys got a lot in common.
Yeah.
I do that with my buddy, with that guy who wraps cars over there. I was going to say his name, but he likes to talk a lot, right?
Uh-huh.
Do you know who I'm talking
Yeah, I
about?
know who you're talking about.
Oh, man, when he starts that talking, I love the guy too, but I'm bad. I'll just start like, oh, fuck. I'll be just zoning out. Somebody come over and say, hey, didn't you want to get your car wrapped? I said, yeah, I was thinking about it. Perfect. You got to talk to him right now.
He's the best in the biz.
The best. The best.
Yeah.
Just talk to him.
Don't mind that your shit says Performance Film Solutions on it.
What's that?
Yeah.
Hey man, you know what? There's good people here. I'm just happy.
There's
Yeah,
there's really good people, and then there's people. I mean, it's with everything. There's people you just can't fucking stand.
Of course.
I was with I'm not gonna say what group walked into a restaurant. We were with the Brian. I think his name's Brian with the yellow 458.
Yeah.
We ate lunch with him at the Toyota thing, and he looks back and he said, "Oh God, those people are here." And I was like, "Yeah." And then they come in, they try to get a table, and the place is like, "No, it's an hour wait." And I look around and I hear them tell them that, and I'm like, "Fucking tables everywhere." They're like, "Well, we're not gonna eat here then." And he's like, "Oh God, I'm glad they left." And it's like, "Yeah." So how do you feel about these people? But yeah, there's a certain group of people that a lot of us can't stand to see. It's not that they're not nice people. It's just when they're together, it's
a little too much.
yeah. Too
You're talking
much.
about like car fans that are too much, or what do you
Yeah,
mean?
we'll talk about it off the air. I'll say what group it is.
Yeah. I am curious. Is there a dream JDM for you, like a pinnacle of if you could have any fucking car done a certain way? What is it, and how would it be done?
I would. I have one of Japan's iconic cars. I have a 1971 Nissan Skyline. It's called a Hakosuka. That's the first generation of the Skyline, and I love that car. It's a classic. But I would say then, that car eventually evolved into, now what you have is the GTR, the R35 Nissan this year. The prior generation, the R34. On Bring a Trailer this week. I don't know if you guys ever watch or follow it, but one that was in the United States, just sold for $340 some odd thousand, a GTR R34 generation. And that car is not even legal in the United States technically now, but I think that would be a really cool pinnacle type of new car to have.
Yeah.
And then I'm an oldies guy, man. I told you before, I like doo-wop music and stuff,
Yeah.
man. I like that kind of stuff. So something about them old cars too that are just special to me, man. The smells of
the
carburetors, gasoline, the breaking down all the time. I mean, there's something fun about that.
So
as much as it sucks.
Is there a favorite or ideal American muscle car, old school,
Yeah, muscle car.
or just in general? I guess. It could be a
I like
57
59, 60, 61 Chevys. I always like the big fin cars, Cadillacs from the 59s.
DeVille's and the fucking
Yeah, like
the 57 Bel Air would fit that category.
57 Bel Air started with fins. By 59, the Impala. 58 became the Impala. So and then 58 started some fins. 59 got the biggest fins on Cadillacs and that. 60 they tapered them back down again. And 61 got these bubble top roofs on the Impalas. Yeah. I love those body style cars. I love those engines, the 409s, the 4-speed cars of those days. I think they're cool as can be. Mm-hmm. That would be probably a car again one day that if I bought another American muscle car, I'd go back. My dad owned that car way back. He always loved those I love them. I think those were iconic, classic American cars. We'll never have cars like that again.
Yeah, no, my dad's in the same boat. Like he loves the late 50s, early 60s, fucking all that stuff, you know. But,
So good, man.
yeah.
Mike's dad's a pimp.
What's that?
Mike's dad's a pimp.
I was actually I was actually thinking about trying to surprise him with something like that. Like I asked him a while back, like, you know, what was your fucking dream car, and that's what it was. It was a 56 or 57. What do they call it? Competition orange. Oh. Solid competition orange 57 2-door Chevy.
Nice.
The Bel Air, the 2-door. And
So he wanted the one with the filler behind the taillight.
Fuck, I
On
don't
a
even
50,
know.
57 is a taillight filler.
Yeah.
55, 56 were exteriors, I
normal.
believe.
Yeah.
56 might have been in the taillight. 55 was an exterior tank, but they're cool, right? I mean,
Yeah, those
you
are
show that to
super
a
rare.
kid nowadays. I once did that. I took a kid up to a 57 Chevy. I said, I want you to appreciate, like I was saying before, appreciate this old car so you can appreciate new cars more. And I took the kid up. I said, hey, where's the gas tank? Show me. He walked around the car 3-4 times. He goes, I don't know. And I opened that thing up, and that kid, he was in high school, 14, 15-year-old, 16-year-old kid. His jaw dropped. He said, man, that is freaking cool.
Yeah.
And you sort of think about that. 1957, we're opening up right below your tail light a little secret door to fill up your gas. I mean, that's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
You
I'd
know,
love to help you do that for your dad.
That'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
there was inventions back there too, man, that were on those cars back then. You know, there was headlight dimming systems. There were, for light sensing, headlight twilight systems.
I love how you turn the brights on an old Chevy. That shit in the floor.
That's it.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
You
it.
get a good song on,
tap.
you start tapping your foot, and the fucking
Start
just bright
flashing
light in there,
everybody.
motherfucker.
Bright switch.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's nice, man, that those smells, the sounds, the things that are there, and you know, and then the appreciation now in just 30, 40 years, you know, cars went from, you know, some of that technology was there. You go back to some of these cars, like if you go to ever go to Pebble Beach, Monterey, and you go out to the golf course on that Sunday morning when they do the Pebble Beach, the concourse, and you go there and you look at some of these cars from the 20s, the Pierce Arrows and these and Rolls Royces from the 20s and the teens and those years. There are things on some of these cars you're like, wait a minute. There are inventions that were from back then that have finally just started making it to cars here, you know, today. Things that they were already doing back then. I mean, I would come up and see things and say, wow, what the hell is that? And they'd explain it to you and you'd say, wow, that's something that, look, it existed in the 20s, it disappeared all these years. Now in the 2000s, 2010s, whatever, now these technologies have finally developed into some of these cars again. And it's interesting stuff.
Yeah. I think that like 50s and early 60s was like, if I could pick an era to be around in, like a teenager at that time, like, goddamn, what a fucking time to have been alive.
It's like what we have now moved. It skipped all what the 70s, 80s, 90s. All our shit was slowing down. You know, back then they had power. The government was like, fuck that. Y'all are going too fast. You're outrunning our cops. You're hot rodding. Slow them down. And now we're back to the shit where, with technology, we're fast as fuck.
Yeah.
So if you could take out this bullshit section, and then
The bullshit thing.
Yeah.
There was a lot of fun during that bullshit
There
section.
was.
Was there not?
yeah, Michael Jackson, he touched a bunch of kids. All that happened. He had a monkey.
In 87, Oldsmobile 4-door sedans in the car you look at all the time and say, God,
Yeah,
there's the
that's true.
highlight of American car culture.
There was some cool ass cars back then.
I mean, the 80s Corvettes and the fucking Viper came along. And
The Viper did
you know,
come
I mean,
along.
Yeah.
They were expensive as fuck back then. I
But
remember
the Arrow
hearing
came along too.
300 horsepower in the Camaro SS with a 6-speed, and we were like, holy
Yeah.
fuck.
Well, it's funny seeing like I think it's the Lamborghini, I think it's the Countach was like a 5.20 to 60.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like back then it was like the fastest car in the world. You know, it's
Now we
just
have
crazy.
pickup trucks
Drive
doing
one
that
today,
shit.
right?
Yeah.
Drive an early Viper today. You want to be disappointed?
Yeah.
Oh my God. You want to drive a 95, 96 Viper and you say, the hell is of this car? This is slow as can be. Drive an early Ferrari, you know, too. Those Ferrari, they weren't fast.
It's like seeing the hot supermodels back then. Now you're like,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah. yeah.
Yeah.
A different definition of hot. Right?
What's
well,
that skit? The milk has gone bad.
You know what? Listen, it was different, but I like that. You know, I kind of like that vintage stuff. So
Yeah.
some of those 1940s models were kind of hot.
Hey,
Oh, for sure.
little quick housekeeping, Steve. Can you pull that mic up just a little bit?
Sure, man.
Catches your collar
Ah,
every
you
once
got
in a
it.
while. You're good.
I got a buddy that's how he makes his living. Well, I got a few buddies. They make their living building those old cars, and they're the ones who listed on the site.
Yeah.
And it's one of their cars sold for $700,000. Oh, they build, and it's one of those. They actually have a show, but you see TV show cars, and when you see them in person, it's like, that's a piece of shit. Someone paid money to have that piece of shit built. There's the total opposite. We went to go see him in person, and he throws me a towel. Hey, help me clean this before the door's open. I said, I ain't touching that motherfucker. That shit's expensive. You know, and
Nicer in person than it is. That's a rare thing they see.
Yeah, and
most of the time it's the opposite, right?
And the guys that build them are some of the most down to earth, cool ass people you'll ever run across. And it's like, holy shit, you guys build cars that are rust buckets, make them worth $700,000, over $1 million.
Unreal.
You know, and they're old school cars, and they're works of art. And it's just, they brought their passion into making money. And that's what I love to see. That's what you get to see in America.
Yeah.
People that take shit like that. And I've heard his story of how he started, and it's truly an American dream type shit, you know.
I love stories like that, man.
Yeah.
I love stories like that. I love people who can take things and make something with their own hands. And, you know, it's not people forgetting how to do that. Kids today forgetting how to do that, I think, in a lot of ways. I mean, gaming is one thing, but I said, man, learn how to do something with your two hands, build something.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's largely just because of economies and business, I think. But, you know, again, back then, whether it was cars or appliances or whatever, things were made to last, which from a business standpoint actually is not a great business practice, you know, which they figured out. And now, you know, Walmart has perfected the disposable everything.
Everything.
Yeah, I mean, because like nowadays, like your ice maker breaks, your refrigerator breaks, your fucking stove breaks, whatever, it's cheaper to just buy a new one. You know, like there's almost no fucking repairment, you know, so, but it's that way with everything. And so when there's no demand for any of those services, then of course most kids and then turning into adults aren't going to have any understanding how to take shit apart and fix things and build shit and whatever. A lot of them don't, you know, so.
Yeah.
I agree with you about that too. That's a good point. But then again, you think about, you know, if technology ever fell to shit, right? Or if
we'd be fucked.
Of shit, people are fucked.
Yeah,
who can look at a map? What happens if somebody got lost today and you threw them a Thomas guide, or you threw them a
Rand McNally
AAA
fucking
quick
Atlas.
trip?
Yeah.
So go find your way at home.
Yeah, they'd have no fucking idea.
They're done.
They'd open a Rand McNally fucking Atlas, and they'd be trying to fucking zoom in on the fucking map.
Give them a
with their
compass. Or
the beauty, watch them do this.
We're supposed to turn. Right? They don't know what it is. No. But think about so I say, you know, a lot of guys, you know, everyone wants to go to college. Everyone wants to make the big six-figure incomes. Everyone wants to be, you know, the next whatever, Google or whatever. And I said, man, go learn how to cut hair. Go learn how to weld. Go learn how to do electrician. Be a plumber. Fucking, you know what I mean? Yeah. And you don't got to go to college. You ain't a better person because you went and spent $70,000 a year to go to college. In fact, chances are you turn out to be a piece of shit, you know, jerk after you come back from experience like that.
Especially at this point, I think, you know, college is good for dentist, doctor, lawyer, things that are very specific to needing that, you know, as part of your skill, craft, trade, whatever you want to call it. Outside of that, it's a complete fucking scam.
It is a scam.
100%.
Yeah.
It's an expensive scam. It's the only thing that keeps going up in price, and nobody says a goddamn thing about.
Yeah.
You send your kids there. You're disinvolved. You don't know what they're being taught, what they're being shown, what they're being told. Yeah. Kids who want to say certain things aren't allowed to say certain things, and the parents just shut up and pay the bills.
Yeah.
And send their kids away. It's like summer camp or indoctrination summer camp in a lot of schools. Yeah. I went to a very liberal school, man. I went to the University of Wisconsin. They called it the Berkeley of the Midwest. You're from Iowa, right? Yeah. I mean, Iowa wasn't as well, but Wisconsin, Madison was a liberal town, man.
Iowa City and the University of Iowa has turned into that for sure.
Yeah.
You know, it's maybe not quite on the same level, but not fucking far off, you know.
And so the professors, the tenured people, the people can't get fired. It doesn't matter what they say, what they do, what they teach, and you're paying for it, man. You're paying for it. And I say, you know, even parents too, and kids in middle school and high schools and stuff, parents say, well, I'm not sending my kid to that public school. Public school sucks. Yeah, granted, it might. But you know what? You may be sending your kid now, paying to send your kid to a private school that sucks even worse. Yeah. And it depends on what meaning of the word suck that it is. But, you know, you don't know what they're being taught.
Yeah.
Or being told.
Yeah, it's bad news.
you used to be taught how to believe in your own shit. You know, what do you believe? You know, you were taught both sides.
Well, yeah, I mean, to me, the easiest and best way to, fix the problem, or the way that it used to be and the way that it should be, and I think the biggest contrast now, which is why you see what you see, is that as a student, if you know what your teacher's political leanings are, they have failed, in my opinion. Like, you should have no idea what your teachers believe politically, because if you do, then that is biased and is influencing them teaching you, which to me is fucking wrong. It's a problem, but I can tell you right now, like most kids, like I can tell you my kids, like they know most of their teachers, how they feel politically, almost all of them. There's very few of them that they don't.
Why should that be anything in the classroom at all?
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it should be way the fuck out of the classroom.
Out of it.
Hell, growing up, your parents, a lot of parents, not everybody's, but your parents wouldn't even. You could ask as a kid, "Who'd you vote for?"
I'm not telling you.
I'm not telling you.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not
It's
your
not
business.
your business.
It's the same, like, how much money you make? Fuck you. That's how much.
Yeah.
I just
I make
didn't.
enough to pay the bills, bitch. That's how
Yeah,
much.
we never talked about politics growing up.
And I feel you shouldn't
Yeah.
with your kids, to let them have their own views. But nowadays, you're like you said, you're fighting the system that's teaching them their views,
Yeah.
not in-home views.
Bothered me about school, raising a son who's 21 going to school. It bugged me, man. It didn't seem to bother a lot of other people in California, at least where I was at the time. But every school he went to, starting from from preschool all the way up through high school, private school and everything else, and there was no Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, man.
Oh,
And
fuck that.
fuck that. Fuck that is right. I said, fuck. I said, why? 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 I mean, it's a minute that everybody stands up, and then they strip that out of school. They stripped out the pride. There's no American flag in a classroom. You don't stand up at 7:50 and have the student leader or whoever it was at the time lead the Pledge of Allegiance, or somebody over the man. I remember doing that, man, and I just don't know how we let that stuff disappear
I don't know.
from our culture and our society, and from one country that we have, that everybody's there. We should be celebrating that stuff. It really bugged me a lot.
To me, that's one of the biggest problems you see, is that the kids that, when they first started implementing that, are now adults, and those are the ones that are trashing our fucking country. They have no fucking national pride about where we're from or what we do, and it's sad.
It's very sad. It's really sad. You lose our connective point. Everybody's connective point boils down to, should be love for this country. We share one thing, we may not share culture necessarily, of background or color or, race, but we share a country, man. Love for country. You take that away, there's no where's the common bond?
Yeah. I know. It almost doesn't exist, except for in pockets, like here. I mean, but even here, if you go in the heart of Dallas, it's not much different than fucking any other big city that has a lot of liberal influence,
Right.
The nice thing about Texas is that it's so big, and there's so many areas that are not that way, that are surrounding, those areas, that it offsets it pretty well and still maintains a pretty good balance. But you go into, again, places like California, that entire fucking coastline, it's all that way,
It's completely that way.
Yeah.
And what's funny too is, I don't even know if a lot of those people who say they're that way or act in that way are really that way.
Well, a lot
it's
of them
the
are.
act.
Yeah.
It's what you have to show.
Yeah, it's the virtue
While you
signal.
go back behind the virtue signaling, as you pull through your gated communities, gates, beyond your house's gates, into your place with your security and your cameras and your guards and your guns, most likely too, there to protect yourself.
Yeah.
You have to preach a certain way if you want to keep people off of your back and keep your lifestyle. So you sell out to preach about stuff that you probably don't even really believe yourself, but you feel like you've got to say it to virtue signal people.
Yeah. It's fucking,
That's sad. That's kind of sad.
yeah. It's hypocritical. You see it with big politicians all the time, the anti-gun, anti-border wall, anti-fucking,
Right.
you name it, are just walking fucking examples of hypocrisy, but
It's that deflection. Is it called deflecting technique, where basically, when the people stand up and talk the loudest, pointing their finger at everybody else, generally while they're accusing you of everything else, they're generally guilty of what they're sitting there pointing their finger and telling you. So while they're calling you a this or a that and everything
Yeah,
else.
they're gaslighting like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, you're exactly, and you sit there with a straight face accusing me of everything you're guilty of doing.
Yeah.
And you could do that with a straight face. The hypocrisy of it is really troubling, you know what I mean? And that really is, because when you boil down to it all, you know, and these pundits and these people who say this stuff, you go out, you meet regular people. And the car community, I think, is a really great example of this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty diverse community. Right? I mean, color, race, you know, women, men, you know, a mix of everything, right? There's people who got little shitty cars, the guys with the multi-million-dollar Ferraris. And yet, I don't know, I go to the car shows and, you know, of course there's those groups, but for the most part, man, everybody's cool.
Yeah.
Everybody's nice, man. Everybody gets along. Everybody's there, you know, we have a common cause, a love for cars, and then a love for other people. And it doesn't matter what they look like, you know, or anything else. And people seem to be real people. Yeah, there's the fakies. I know it, but man, I don't get that at car shows.
Yeah.
I say cars are a great avenue to meet great people.
Yeah.
Cars, I mean, we met because of cars.
Brought us all together.
Right. Yeah. Cars. A machine, you know, brought us together. We wouldn't have known each other if it wasn't for those of you guys wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have known you.
Yeah.
And did it too. So for that, I think it's a great avenue to meet real people, not just fakies. I find there's a lot of real people in the car community.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a unique medium that way too, and that a lot of other industries or cliques or whatever. I mean, whether it's military or guns or, you know, there's a lot of them that are kind of politically and societal wise, social, economic, you know, are all pretty similar.
Yep.
You know, maybe the military is a decent melting pot that way, but with cars, like, it's all goddamn walks of life.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's not a political aspect to it or really anything that way. It's really neat to see the contrast of different backgrounds of people that are interested in them. You know, but
I think it's kind of like a little microcosm of the way you think things could
should be
and could be if you didn't have people stoking, you know, and you know, pitting people against each other or different groups against each other. I don't think the average person really looks at stuff that way in any way, man. I think the average person just wants to live their life, raise their family, have a nice place to live, teach their kids to, you know, hopefully good qualities and do it. I think most people, seems like around me, whether it's here or California, wherever I've lived, all share that kind of same goal. You know what I mean? It's maybe that's privileged to say that. You know?
No, I think most groups of people have way more in common than not. It's just what gets focused on are the differences and not the similarities.
That's it. That's
100%.
it. When I started my YouTube channel, I used to think about it. I said, I want to do one episode a week on my channel that's going to be it'll be a news segment. Like, I'll be a news reporter, but it's not going to be about news like, you know, 12 people killed in LA today, 20 people shot in Chicago today, you know, that happy news, good news, you know, I mean, nice stuff, people helping each other, people, you know, the cop who jumped into the burning car to pull the lady out, you know, could have died, you know, the kid who did something, donated, you know, had the lemonade stand, raised, you know, $50 and donated it to something locally or something like that. You know, stuff like that never gets focused on. Nobody ever hears about it anymore because all we hear is all the bad, all the
news
negative
shouldn't be
shit.
news. It should just be bad news.
Yeah.
Bad news. I want to see some good news, man.
Yeah.
I want good news. Happy news.
Where are we at?
Now we're getting about 8 more minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just asking electricians on the way.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
We should all hold the plank position for the remainder of the episode.
I don't think I can. No, I could. I could do it.
Yeah.
Just
Plank
rest
on the
my
coffee
belly.
table.
The flank.
Yeah.
I actually prepared. I was coming over here. I said, because I asked Matt yesterday. I said, what are we going to talk about? He said, I don't know.
Nothing.
What do you mean
Great.
you don't
He said,
know?
Nothing. So I said, all right, I'm going to at least write down a couple of things just in case we hit a moment. Maybe while we're here that it got kind of
You know,
an
you got a
8-minute
professional
lull.
when he's got notes.
It's
Zach,
true.
you take notes.
I've got notes. I have
I've got
notes.
notes.
Yeah.
Well, what would be a good situation? You know, I have a dog. I don't know if I told you that last night. Since you know, so I watch some of your videos sometimes because I'm trying to train my little golden doodle to be a good dog, right? And I watch your videos, so I think the type of dogs are very different, right?
Well, yes and no. I mean, dogs are dogs in terms of how they learn, and just like with people, I mean, there are some basic principles that are all the same, and then where the nuance is in person to person. But it's I use this analogy with a lot of different things, but it's kind of like an amp. Right, is that the amp, the wattage is the wattage, right? The wattage is the genetics, whether it's 5 or 100, is that's the foundation. That's what you're working with. The equalizer, those sliders, are the behaviors, and that's in people, it's in dogs, it's in whatever. And so you're limited by the genetics, you're limited by the wattage, and that's going to give you the ability to get to whatever level those sliders give you the ability to tweak things here and there. But the behaviors that you're teaching dogs, I mean, it's really all the same stuff in terms of how they learn, just like it's the same way that a coach would coach athletes, or an employer would manage their employees, a teacher with their students, whatever, is that, all dogs, all people, whatever, are going to be motivated maybe a little differently.
Got it.
So, the golden doodle, something is important to them, so whatever that something is, how you use that to basically manipulate the environment so that it makes it easy for the dog to make the decision I want him to make, and then he gets whatever it is that's important to him, whether it's a fucking bomb dog for FBI's hostage rescue team, or it's your golden doodle keeping him off the fucking couch. The A to B is the exact same. It's what's important to him. How do I set the environment up so it's easy for him to make the decision that I want him to make, and then he gets what he wants. And I do that over and over and over until it becomes what's called a conditioned response. Your son's a swimmer, right?
Yes.
Same thing, like pressing the buoy, and I swam growing up, and so there's a lot of technique in swimming to have efficient stroke.
Yep.
And you can go to clinics and all this other stuff, but there comes a point in every swimmer's career, if they're good and serious, where all of the mechanics that your elbows here above your wrist, and then your thumb to your armpit, and all these other things that you have a coach basically physically manipulate you while he's walking along to get you to do that.
Yeah.
There comes a certain point where a light switch comes on, and that swimmer doesn't have to think about those things.
Right.
That just comes naturally. But it's because of repetition, correct repetition. And so with dog training, when a dog is truly trained, it's when you have that many repetitions to where it becomes a conditioned response, and they're not thinking anymore. They're just reacting. And so that's where most people fail, I think, is that they don't get enough repetition. In the same way, most people who try to be competitive athletes, or anything that's a skill set that you have to do over and over and over, is that they just don't do it enough to be good at it, and that's really all it is.
So, but across breeds of dogs, like people too, I guess, there's common needs, right? That they have for being praised for doing something good. Is that?
Well, sort of. I mean, so that's where the nuance, and sometimes it's not that nuance. Sometimes it's a very stark contrast. One dog may be so driven for a tennis ball that I actually can't use that because it's too overwhelming for the dog. The dog is so driven for it, he can't even fucking think straight, and won't even offer any behaviors for me to shape because he's so fucking locked in on that ball. Some dogs are very antisocial or introverted. Most of them aren't, but some of them are. So some dogs, attention is the highest fucking thing you could give them. Some dogs, not petting them is what they're looking for. So
equalizer here,
and then everything in between. Food, same thing. For the dog that has just enough prey drive and ball drive to where I can use a ball and it motivates him to get him to do what I want. That's great. It makes it easy. But for the fucking Rottweiler that I can bounce a tennis ball off his forehead and he doesn't give a fuck, doesn't even look at it. Well, then I can't use a ball to train that dog.
That's
So
their motivations are
where it's tough is if you've got a dog that's got really thin nerves, right? It's nervous, it's skittish, it's shy, won't take food, doesn't give a fuck about a ball, doesn't want to be touched. That's just a hard fucking dog to train. And so in those cases, I do use food, and I recommend to people because that's really all you can use. I still use this same method, whether it's the warrior dogs that come in that are ass eaters, or a personal protection dog, or just anybody that's training their dog, is that by keeping the dog in a crate for a period of a month to 2, and there's no free meals, is that I'm using that food as the primary reinforcer, is that the dog only eats when he makes eye contact with me, when he comes from wherever he's at, taking a few steps towards me, making eye contact. If I call his name and he looks at me, is I mark that and then I feed the dog. And so very quickly the dog learns that everything good comes from me. So even in that skittish, shy, nervous, food unmotivated dog, none of them are going to starve themselves to death. So it may take a day or 2 or even 3 in some dogs' cases where it's like, yeah, I don't give a fuck about food and I'm not coming over to you. Like at some point they're going to say, fuck, I'm going to, yeah, they have to come over. Now, some people may hear that and be like, well, that's fucking mean. There isn't an alternative. I mean, the alternative is crushing them physically, whether a remote collar or a prong collar, physically using compulsion to punish them to into whatever you want them to do, which is the right answer.
And it probably won't work with a dog like that as well, would it?
No, I mean, most dogs will either shut down or they'll try to bite you, if they're, depending on how fight or flight they are, is that, the most nervous, shy, skittish dog backed into a corner where I'm trying to put like at some point he's going to say, fuck you, I'm biting you because you've made him that uncomfortable, but for all dogs, again, using that tactic of using, feeding through training for a few weeks to a couple of months, really kind of hits that reset button and conditions the dog to just be Velcro to you, and for the dogs that are flighty and they want to run and check everything out and they're oblivious to their owner, that fixes that, relatively quick. But
it's beautiful having a dog. I mean, it's my point in my life now having her. She's so cute. She's smart. She's loyal. She went coming home and just seeing that whole wiggle worm thing, and she had a little bit of a submissive peeing problem. Perhaps you're familiar with stuff like that. I
do
don't
it to
know.
my wife.
With your extensive porn background, I didn't know if you know, but submissive peeing is something I've become familiar with a little bit.
So with that too, one thing that I think, not to hijack this into a dog training podcast, but
sorry, man.
But,
no, that's all good.
But
fascinating stuff.
But the absence of behavior is still a desired behavior. So in this case, usually what triggers submissive peeing is a presence that is overwhelming to a dog, so fierce eye contact coming down, stuff like that. And it's like, well, he pisses every time. Well, stop doing that.
Right. Stop kneeling down.
Basically ignore the dog and let the dog over time build up enough confidence to come over to you. And then it's like, I'm not even looking at you. I'm just kind of petting you, and then maybe 2 feet are down and now I'm petting you. And then, now I'm like this and I'm petting you with both hands, but still not looking at you. Right. And then I'm like this with one hand, but look, and it's just slowly stair-stepping and baby-stepping your way into getting that dog comfortable, whether it's putting a muzzle on them, putting a fucking cone on them, a collar, eye contact, anything that's troubling to the dog. Don't be so overwhelming and do it really, really structured and calculated so that it's just very gradual. Just like with people, is that, young kids, is that if you're taking them to the park and they're scared to fucking death of the slide. Now, in our time frame, the dad's going to throw you down the fucking slide until you're comfortable with it. Oh, you can't swim? Gives you this is Sparta off the dock into the fucking pond. But that's not a good way to go about it. The most productive and positive way to do it is that same thing, is that if the kid's scared of the slide, like I'm going to bring fucking gummy bears and we're going to eat gummy bears at the bottom of the slide until he's like not even looking at it, and then we're going to do it at the top, and then we're just going to sit at the top, and then I'm going to go down, and it's just those types of things. You apply that same logic and reasoning and tactic with dogs that are uncomfortable with shit.
Interesting. Yeah. So question with regards to that. So people, back in the day when I was a kid, it was wooden spoons, dad's belt, and bars of soap, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, these were the motivating factors, maybe in some ways, or the things that you wanted to stay away from to not do stuff bad. Those were the threats there. So, I mean, you're talking about dogs. I mean, it's not just. I learned an expression in Japan. They talk about the whip and then the candy. You know what I mean? Basically, what is the expression here? There's an expression.
Honey and vinegar.
What's that?
Honey and vinegar.
No, meaning I don't know if maybe there's another way with it. I forget what it is, but it's basically it's a balance of discipline.
Yeah.
With praise. You just can't beat somebody into submission all the time, right? To do it, you need to praise them too. So there's a whip.
Yeah.
And there's candy.
Yeah, and there's especially in the United States and more quote unquote progressive westernized countries, there's a just like with kids and punishment there's been an overcorrection with dog training too, where there's these pure positive movements, right? Where it's no punishment whatsoever. It's only positive reinforcement, and that's equally bad. It is. I mean, because you can probably appreciate this, the yin yang aspect of a lot of Asian culture, primarily Japan. But really is the premise of that is that good without the context of bad isn't really good.
Balance.
It's like eating ice cream and steak fucking all the time. Like that's not going to seem that great if that's all you get to eat. And on the transverse, whether it's kids or dogs, is that there also has to be consequence for bad behavior. But you contrast it by motivating them and incentivizing them to do good behavior. So what that does is it makes both of them extra powerful, and that good is really good and bad is really bad. And so it just makes it easier for them to avoid the bad shit and focus on the good. With the kid example, it's like saying, and this goes back to the motivating thing, is that, if they're not motivated for it, it's like, hey, if you clean your room and do a really good job, you're going to get this bowl of steamy Brussels sprouts. And they're like, fuck your Brussels sprouts. Like, I'd rather not clean my room because I don't give a fuck about them. Hey, if you clean your room, you're going to get this fucking bowl of ice cream. Great. Same thing, though, is if they don't like ice cream and cleaning their room is so fucking bad to them, like it's the worst thing in the world, and say, hey, I need you to clean your room. Fuck you, Dad. You're going to get your ass kicked for that, So, again, like I'm going to try to use positive reinforcement and set it up to where it's really easy for them to make the decision that I want them to make, and then they get rewarded for it. Now, if none of that works, and I've done every fucking thing I can to offer that, and there's nothing that I can give them that trumps them just not doing what I want, then I'm going to kick your ass until you do it, But I'm going to give you every fucking opportunity to not have your ass kicked. So
it's interesting how little basic things like that, even in life, man. I do those comparative Japanese and the salaryman videos with the salesman, those ones we talked about last time. And a lot of Japanese people talk to me. Japanese in Japan, they say, great. If you're a customer in Japan, you're a god, right? I mean, people at companies have to treat you like a god, talk to you like a god. You pretty much, as a customer in Japan, you also feel this sense of empowerment. So let's say you walk into a 7-Eleven, a poor Japanese girl, 19 years old, working behind the counter, making $7, $8 an hour in yen equivalent, 700-800 yen, let's say, right, on the counter. She screws up your order. She misheats your thing. You buy something, you come back. The customer, as the god, feels now he's got the right to come in there and make that person feel like an absolute piece of shit, scream and yell at her. You see it a lot in Japan. They think it's a way to power trip because you're in a position where you can tell, what's that girl going to do? What can she really do to solve it? What's the, it's just, it's an approach thing too with people, right? If you go in all the time full on, well, it's kind of like if you drive a car always, you're either idling or you're always full throttle. There's nothing in between. Dealing with people, maybe dealing with dogs too. There's got to be that, in between. If you start off every conversation, you motherfucker, I'm going to kick you. You fuck my sandwich up. It's disgusting. What are you, stupid? Where are you going from there, right? Plus, so many people do that. Yeah. I find the different approach is, listen, have a nicely.
On the other side of the token,
escalate things.
Yeah, on the other side of the token, if you walk in mousy and with the ability for them to steamroll you, then they're going to do that also. To me, there's just like with most things, there's that balance and happy medium.
Balance and happy medium. Yeah. I love it, man.
Well,
that's
Steve,
fun. Time goes fast with you guys, huh?
That's what she said.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
That's because time went fast.
That's because time did go real fucking fast.
We're going to ask you to come back on whenever you want.
But we're going to do the whole episode in Japanese.
All right.
Yeah.
We're good.
So I'm going to just sit here.
I'm going to subtitle that.
I can count to 10.
Yeah.
But,
and if you guys do want more dog training, where can they go for that? I can't remember.
Where is that? Caesar Milan has a good program, I think. Teamdog.pet.
Yeah, teamdog.pet.
Teamdog.pet.
And if
or
you
just
need
Mike
good
Rittman.
dog food, have you tried Mike's new dog food?
I haven't personally had a chance to sample it yet.
It's good.
Did you have
Put some
hype?
hot water,
usually
throw it
put
in the
it in-
microwave,
Yeah.
I'm going to.
I usually
put it in your oatmeal.
little bit of water,
Yeah.
put it on bread, and it's good to go.
Can I wash it down with some of my white tea?
Fucking
Yeah,
yeah, you can.
Fuck yeah, you can.
What did you have written on your card? You didn't.
I was thinking about something. Yeah.
Before we wrap up, at least read
Real
the
quick,
card.
I wrote about Texas because I wanted to talk about Texas and
did
Southern
that.
hospitality. I think we covered that. How young people here are very polite. I love how people here say yes, sir, yes, ma'am. A lot of people do.
Instead of yeah,
Yeah.
or what.
Yeah. I love that.
I go with sup, bitch.
I like how people here, Texas from before I moved here, people used to, if you thought about Texas from the outside, you thought about big pickup trucks, cowboys, and everything else. Well, I find people here are more open to different things, different cars, the JDM, Underglow, stuff that in other places people would call you, oh, you're gay. You know, even in the progressive places that you shouldn't say that. They're calling you stuff names for having Underglow and other stuff on your car. I found people here to be totally open about stuff and very, very.
You notice the lack of cowboy boots?
I did. Well, I do notice some cowboy boots.
But you expect when you
I
move
expected
here,
more.
everybody.
Belt buckles, hats, and cowboy boots.
I do miss the days of the bitches in the Rocky Mountain jeans all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I like the sundress and cowboy boot look.
Yes.
Oh, that's hot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you go out to buy where my kennel's at, then it's almost a different planet out there. Like every
we're going to the
motherfucker's wearing
kennel after
cowboy
this.
boots and buckles and hats and
I'm
Stetson
good with
and
cowboy
shit.
boots, buckles. I'm good with people with cowboy boots and people wearing city slicker shoes all together in one place. That's what I like. That's all I've been saying. And plus freedom, man. Freedom.
Yeah.
I feel there is freedom here. And I just hope to God, I really hope to God and the people in power here that they keep, this is a free place and a beacon of freedom for people in other states to say, you know what, we want to emulate what's going on in Texas. That's why people, and that's why I moved here. So I mean, I just talked about some stuff like that, relationships and meeting people. But, you know, again, I'm thankful for you guys having me, welcoming me into your new studio.
As we told you in the last studio, you're welcome anytime you want to come by. You don't have to be invited.
Thank you.
You're welcome here. Just let us know when you're free. I enjoy having you. Mike don't as much. He told me in text.
Well, now,
That's mostly him.
if he makes me start barking like a dog and begging for some,
You'd be surprised at
some
the shit he'll train you to do.
I'm out.
But guys, make sure you go check out Steve's POV. It's really entertaining. He speaks a lot in Japanese, and then there's English subtitles and shit like that. And a lot of them you go back and forth, Japanese, English, and all that.
A little bit, yeah.
And the POV is a porn reference.
Yeah,
Of course it is. I mean, I'm with these porn people all the time. I gotta feel like I fit into some degree.
You have to watch at least 5 videos to see where he places the camera. Fucking tricky. So, guys, we also have a shirt link. Mike's wearing a shirt right now. Down below in the description, I've made it. Copy and paste, put it up, get your ass a shirt. Go to Steve's, get some shirts. I think he's got a sale.
Got some cool shirts on today.
Yeah. Or go to MikeRitland.co, right?
MikeRitlandCo.com.
There you go.
Kind of confusing, but
Yeah.
Kodak.
Fuck made that up.
dude, I don't even know.
That other guy who stole his name, that other Mike Ritland who took
I mean, you can just Google,
Just Google Mike Ritland.
MikeRitland.com and all
Yeah.
the shit will come up.
Pops right up. You can order all your shit on there.
Yeah.
Everything. All kinds of stuff. Got good product. Guys, we're out. Check us out. Spotify, iHeartMedia, Amazon, your mom's house. Anywhere else, Zach?
No, that's got it.
My
Yeah,
mom's
that's got
house.
it, yeah.
All right. Peace, bitches.